So he was, you could tell kind of before that, when the guys, he was smiling and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of went down, wasn't smiling anymore. But I believe it's just cramps, but that's probably going to be something Sean will know here in the next, however many minutes.
What are you seeing from Cam so far?
Well, he's a big boy, and whatever he did over these last 40 days, I want that diet and I want that workout program, because he came in and he had his tank top on that first day. I was like, man, and he always has looked good. I mean, he's a guy that when you put the pads on, that's when you really feel him, and you can almost kind of. He's taken every single day, every single meeting, every single practice, extremely professional, extremely serious. But this guy wants to put the pads on, and I know he's ready to go.
Would you say, like, the issues that the offensive line had with all the injuries last year, now you have this influx of guys that have experience and everyone's here? How much of a factor is that towards building something really strong heading into this?
Totally. The blessing in disguise is what you just said, right? There's a lot of guys on this team, even as young as we are, that played a lot of football last year that probably weren't thinking they were going to play a lot of football. And, unfortunately, but fortunately, they got to play, and now that we're going into this season, and there's some good competition, so when it comes to that first Sunday, the lights won't be too big for them. We'll figure out who those top 5 guys are, but having that experience has been huge.
What's it been like to, two questions, what's it been like to work with Cooper Kupp on a daily basis, and what have you seen so far from Stetson?
Yeah, Cooper is he's the ultimate professional, right? I mean, he's done it for going into his 7th year. We were joking. I'll never forget my first year as a receiver coach up in San Francisco was his year coming out, and I'll never forget the interview we had at the train station, and every game before the game I've always talked to him because of the way we bonded there, and now being able the chance to be around him, watch him lead and watch him conduct himself on a daily basis, it's awesome. He's had the production his whole career. It's only gotten better. He's healthy, he's feeling good, he loves coming to work. Whenever he decides to hang it up, he's going to be a great coach or whatever the heck he wants to do, So that's been it's been awesome to work with him on a daily basis. And Stetson, again, another guy that's a very mature man, and came from a very good program. He knows how to work. He knows how to study. Todd Monken did a great job with him. You can see he credits a lot of kind of what he knows to Todd, and now just trying to get up to speed of the NFL game and our offense. Every day is going to be, there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, but he's out there just competing. You can just tell whether it is good or bad. He puts that play aside and he just goes to the next play.
When you speak to wide receivers, can you speak to that battle right now? Cooper's obviously at the front of that, but what you're seeing in that competition? Similar
to the line, there's a lot of guys that played last year at that position, a lot of positions across this team, right, that weren't planning on it. No different with the receivers. Probably having Cooper in OTAs was good for all of us. As much as we always want Cooper out there because he's one of the best to do it, it's been good that those other guys got to get a rapport with Matthew, and and that won't stop. So there's been some really good competition. It'll be really fun to see how this thing shakes out, particularly when we get into the preseason. It always works itself out, but there is good competition.
Mike, the offensive line aside, obviously that being so significant, but Sean has talked at times about redesigning some things and scheming better protection, even down to the play calls at times for Matthew. Obviously, you can't get super granular right now about what that looks like, but in your experience as a coach, what are the types of things that do protect quarterbacks from those types of things?
Yeah, just giving them, giving the line the right matchup, giving the tackles the help when they need it. We're doing some stuff with the backs to, where they can give some help to the interior, So there's a lot of different ways to get it done. We just know this, and we all know this. It's no rocket science here. We give Matthew, an extra tick back there. He's one of the best in the world to do it, right? So the whole focus is just keeping him upright, and if that means putting a few extra guys in protection or whatever we have to do, we're going to do it.
In terms of the quarterbacks behind Matthew, it looks like you guys are kind of taking the same approach with both Brett and Stetson as you did during OTAs and minicamp.
Yep.
Ideally, what does that path throughout training camp and the preseason look like as far as their development and where you want to get them?
Yeah, very calculated in terms of what we're trying to get done with both those guys. Obviously, Rip, he's going into his 5th year. He's played a lot of ball, whether it be just going through the training camps and OTAs. So the NFL speed and all that's not an adjustment for him. It's just getting used to throwing to different guys, you know, and that's a big deal too. As long as you've been in this league, you still got to get used to throwing to different humans that you're not used to. Stetson's in a whole different, deal. He's on an NFL field for the first time. So, but you want to give both those guys opportunities. They both need to go play quarterback. The only way you get good doing your job is to actually be out there playing. You can drill all you want, but you got to be in that 11 on 11 setting and trying to give both those guys those options.
Coach,
Mike,
last two guys.
What are you seeing from your young players, especially your rookies?
That they're out there having fun and competing. It was cool. Right before practice, I went up to Higgs, and Higbee is, however old he is, I don't know, 30, but you'd think he's going on like 22 years old. He has so much energy, and he looks great. And he always has looked great, but I was joking with him that it's pretty cool to have this influx of young players. You know, you can just see the excitement. These guys on both sides of the ball, I mean, they're fighting for their lives, right? They're fighting for their jobs. So just having that youth, having that energy, seeing them in meetings every day is a big install. So you know some guys have questions that they're maybe a little afraid to ask. There's going to be mistakes, and then you just grow from those mistakes, right? Never making that same mistake twice is what we like to say. And but it's been cool. It's just been a lot of energy.
Mike, do you ask your veteran leaders like Matthew and Coop to lead, or do you just let them lead the way that they naturally lead?
Yeah, you got to lead within your own personality, right? Everyone's going to be a leader within their own personality. If not, it's not authentic, right? So you don't have, and with that being said, you don't have to tell those guys. Those guys are just natural leaders. They want the best out of these guys. They're all striving for the same thing, trying to make every single guy better, from the first guy on the roster to the 90th man, right? So don't have to ask much from Matthew, Cooper. Don't have to ask anything from Matthew, Cooper, Higgs, the guys that have done it at a high level in this uniform. And it's great that we have them. Thanks, guys. Yeah, good seeing y'all.
Hey guys, I would have let Coop go any other day, but he's done for the day, and I got to go watch tape. And he's done. Although he watched tape with Puka, I will say that.
Go ahead, guys.
The guys really love Raheem.
Hey, Raheem, what are your impressions of your young defensive backs group so far, and how are you encouraging them to be aggressive within the scheme that they want to play?
That is exactly what it is. You just described it perfectly. You know, it's just the times you can be aggressive, and it's the times you can challenge. You got to take advantage of those opportunities, and it's all situational ball. It is so great because it's such a young group that you're teaching them everything at the situational moments, everything within the game, when it happens, what are the situations, why, what before, when are we making those decisions, and learning those things and having to go through the process, how we practice when we move the ball and we move the field like that. I think is the best thing for them. Put them in live situations, make them think on the run, make them think on the spot, and then dealing with the mental toughness game of having to bounce back when you do make the mistake. The way we practice is exactly what you need to do for a young group, and I actually love it. It helps me lock in and just be able to teach and be able to sit there and motivate these guys and really have not set expectations for them. It gives you an opportunity to watch these guys grow together.
Can you expand on how it's different, how the structure and the way that you have to practice now is different as opposed to when you had a lot of guys who maybe had rest days, things like that?
You know, when we had the veterans, it was about finding a different combination we're going to play with those guys, and that was about finding a different combination that's going to play in order to fill those holes that we do have and the people that are going to compete for those holes. So we're practicing in that manner where you may see a bunch of different first groups, you may see a bunch of different second groups, you may see a switch from a daily concept, and it's not really based on your performance from the other day. It's just based on who we need to see. So when you see all those things and who plays the best together, who communicates the best together, you're trying to find out who's going to be those guys that takes those next steps, and it's really going out well for us.
You've got those veteran guys in the past that they know what the deal is. Now you got these young guys that are trying to fight for their lives to get a spot. Do you enjoy that hunger that's out there?
You know, the authentic energy and enthusiasm is what you enjoy. I mean, every knockdown pass is like we won a Super Bowl. That's the stuff that you love. Every time they get a chance to compete out there with Coop and him catching balls, and it's just like, man, we were that close, and you feel good about it. But that energy is what you really love. I enjoy it just so much because I get a chance to watch the guys go out there and have fun, and then really go coach them and really go detail it up in the classroom. It's so funny that I'm becoming this old coach that's got to be this nice soul in the classroom when I'm talking to them. That it's kind of, for me, it's a nice and it's a formidable way to go about your day. You know, I really enjoy those moments.
Given the youth on that side of the ball, like, how do you try to empower the young guys to take ownership of the defense while they're still trying to learn, find their way?
You know, it's the simplicity part of the game, And if you can keep it simple and you can speak a simple language to them and let them relay the simple language back, that's what empowers those guys. Having the ability to go out there and be able to play fast, the tempo that Sean provides for us within practice will naturally bring out leadership and who's going to step up and make those calls and those commands along with Ernest. And it's really starting to come to fruition as we go out there and we practice every single day. So those things that happen as we go and as time pass.
When I know you guys try to keep everything in-house and not pay attention to the noise, but when a poll comes out or a website comes out and says the Rams have the worst secondary in the NFL, do you acknowledge that at all with your guys in terms of motivating them, or do you ignore it?
No, just my guy Jalen sends me a text, lets me know. But no, you don't, because you just never know. Like I've coached young secondaries before, and that's what they should say. When you don't know the people, that you obviously going to say they're the worst secondary. They got the worst whatever. But that's part of the challenge, is to go out there and let somebody rise to the occasion and go out there and make those things. You can't say that you ignore the noise, because you guys remind us about it all the time, particularly Gary. But it's just one of those things, Gary, that you enjoy. Like as a coach, it's great, right? As a player, you probably feel a certain way. I didn't grow up in a social media world where I have to live that life and have to respond. So some of my young guys do, so it bothers those guys somewhat, some more. But this is a mental toughness game. The game is always going to be played above the neck, and that's just what these guys are doing now.
Sean mentioned, couple more guys. Sean mentioned Nikello as somebody who he liked what he saw out of yesterday's practice. What has he brought to the secondary?
It's really early, but I will say this: he brings what he's brought so far that I've noticed right away is his calm, cool demeanor and his willingness to learn, his willingness to gather information, and to be able to go out here and just to even practice within the short time that he's been here. I think it's just a credit to him. So he's brought that right now, and it's really early. He's looked good. He's done some really good things. Hopefully continue to be able to get some opportunities for him and go out there and compete, and just find out who the best three, who the best two, who the best four, whatever the case may be, who those guys are.
I'm sure you talk about the development of Kobe Durant and how much progress he's made over a year ago.
Yeah, it's really cool just to watch Kobe and his interaction with Troy last year, from being inside from a nickel, really having similar body types and really starting to play alike, and watching Troy really mentor him in just the most authentic, cool, calm way, and then watching him get a chance to play and go out there and really be productive in his first game that he went out there and he got hurt. Then he's able to bounce back, come back, and make some big-time plays at the end of the season, and then watching him go into the offseason and really attack it and become sort of a leader in his own right, inside, playing some of the star position, having to communicate with different guys, being able to bounce outside, watching DK go in there, and those two rapport that they're having, being able to play off each other is really something fun to watch for those two. So, I'm so excited to see where Kobe can go. Don't know where that is right now, but I really look forward and really going to have a lot of fun watching to see where it goes.
Last one, guys. Will you send Jalen a message or anything?
I've already talked to him. I wish nothing the best. That's forever my brother and forever one of those guys that I always be in contact with. So, always thinking about people that you coach and the people that you care about. I think about you when you're not here.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
I'm not quite. For me.
So, what's it been like out here? Healthy, back at it again. A lot of new faces.
Yeah, man, it feels good. It feels good. It's a long time. I think the last time I did that was basically, the ACL, coming off of the ACL in 18 and 19. So, man, great being back out here playing football again. It was crazy. You come back during OTAs and half the team's brand new. Learning people's faces again, just trying to get names and all that stuff. So, but man, it's great to be out here. Great energy, and these young guys bring a lot of juice. I don't know much of their references, but they bring some juice.
Do you feel like you're back to where you were before the injury?
Oh, I don't know. This is my second day running full speed, competitive stuff. So, there's going to be things as normal. Beginning of camp, things feel fast. Things feel like they're just moving a little faster than you're used to. But man, even just from the first day, second day, things definitely started to be okay, now we're back into the groove, seeing things, and being able to react off them. So it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process for everyone. It doesn't matter how long you play this game. You get back out here. There's nothing like playing competitive football. You can't simulate it. Obviously, I haven't done it since November. So it's been a while, but they'll come back fast.
Cooper, you're obviously trying to protect yourself yourself and stay protected and safe and all of that. But I mean, you got grass stains on your jersey. You are on the ground going for catches today. Is there something about that that's like a wake up, reinvigorating, really feeling that connection again?
What do they call that these days? Is it grounding? Grounding? Yeah, that was definitely some grounding happening out there today. But yeah, you just get out there and those competitive periods, and there's a smart side. You always aren't trying to hurt anyone, and you stay in the realm of knowing that you're playing with these guys and you're trying to build this team together, and you gotta go out and try to achieve something incredible this year. So there's that piece of it, but there's also this competitive piece where the ball's in the air and it's like, man, that's my ball. So there's just still that piece, and no matter where you're at, health aside, it's like once the ball snaps, it's just about playing football.
When you were coming off the knee injury and the ACL, I'm sure mentally, emotionally, there was a point where you go, okay, I've done everything, I can test it. Is it similar or different with you?
I think it's pretty similar. It's that same thing I said. You can't simulate real football. You can't simulate going against someone, all of a sudden reacting, seeing all the whole field. When you're running routes as best as you can, you're still, where you're running. You're envisioning what's happening, but you already know what's going to happen. Being able to, the last little piece of it is just that, being able to react and just know your body's going to respond exactly how you need it to. That happens here. So there is a piece of that, but man, it happens quick where it's just, you do it a few times, and you're like, all right, we're good, move on, and just get back to playing football.
So you've gone from zone to man at the house. Do you tell Sean what's to be expected with his baby coming?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see kind of what that's going to be like for him. I've never done the mid-season baby before, so it's going to be an animal. But I'm excited for him. He's just going to be an incredible experience. He's obviously so excited about it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So your second day going full speed, but there were several plays out there where it looked like you and Matthew never, there was no drop off. Like you just picked up where you left off before you got hurt. Did it feel that way to you, or
that's been kind of the weird but really cool thing. It's kind of felt like that from the first time he was here in 21. Just like that OTAs, it just kind of like clicked, and we came out after OTAs, we were able to throw together a little bit in July, and it just felt like first time back. Like time was just right there. I'm glad you guys see that. I'm glad that that's coming through. But man, it's just been something that seems like it's just kind of very natural and it's happened. And certainly we don't take for granted that there's work that's involved in that as well. Lots of reps and time to tone that in as well. But yeah, it is nice having that where you come back and you feel like things you can kind of just pick them up from where you left off.
Is there anything extra that you guys even have to do when that rapport is already so strong to begin with?
Yeah, you never get complacent with things, right? The worst thing you can do is get stagnant and just be like, okay, well, we're good enough. Like we don't have to practice it, which is going to happen. That's just it's an ignorant and complacent mindset that I just want nothing to do with. So, for us, it's like, hey, we know that we've got this natural chemistry about how we do things, but how much better can we be if we really are honing this thing in? If we're seeing the field the same way, one thing to run routes on air, it's another thing to see the field and be able to see it from his perspective, my perspective. We'll put those things together and be in the right spots at the right time, and as we can get that stuff going and keep building on that, that's when things get really dangerous.
Is there anything in your mind that will let you know I'm back to be myself? Is there a checklist? What's that final thing on your checklist?
No, I don't know. I think I don't know if there's a spot where it's like I'm back to myself. I don't know if there's a spot for that. It just felt like back playing football. There's a growth process. Just every training camp's the same way. You come in, first day, you're flying around, you're moving too fast, your releases, you're rushing everything, and then you settle in, and it's just like, hey, this is just a growth process of competing and getting back comfortable competing against these guys. So every year it kind of feels like growth into that thing, and yeah.
We'll wrap up with you. Oh, sorry, I thought you were pointing. Sorry. Sean has talked a lot about the importance and necessity of protecting Matthew this year. Wondering your perspective from a design standpoint. I know you can't get into necessarily specifics of what you guys are doing out there, but what does that look like from a design standpoint, not just for the linemen, but also the players away from the ball? Yeah,
well, I think everyone plays a part in the ball getting out. faster the ball can get out, the less time those guys at the front have to protect. And, you know, the better you can run the ball, the better you can screen, the better you can, you know, do quick game, the better you can play action, the better things come open down the field, the less likely there are to rush. You know, it all plays into it. You know, all that stuff plays into it. And so everyone has a responsibility to get open within the timing rhythm of the play. And as a receiving core, being able to see things, diagnose them, get to the spots you need to as fast as you can, that's also part of protecting the quarterback. And Matthew doesn't need protecting. You know, just run around, throw the ball around a little bit, it'll be fine. Thank you, guys.
Round them up. I know this will be about 3 questions, so we're good.
was actually curious about the way you're warming guys up every day. It looked like a lot of kicks got taken yesterday, and then some punting games and some fun stuff today. What is the strategy behind those types of things?
You know, keeping them fresh, but challenging them in different spots, kind of building them up to. You know, we had some situational stuff today and yesterday where we ended up not getting a punt or a field goal yesterday. Today we got a punt, not a field goal. But, you know, trying to challenge them in those ways, but building their way into the full team setting and punting behind the line, kicking behind the line, full operations, that type of stuff. And, you know, I think it's been enjoyable so far. They've done a nice job.
It's still a long way to go till the season, but at this point, it looks like it's going to be all rookies, at least in the specialist position.
Yeah.
What's going to be the challenge for you with each of those guys?
You know, I think obviously each one is unique. They all have their own personalities, their own things that make them tick, and areas to improve, and those type of deals. But you know, one of the things that I was myself, spring coach, were really adamant about was making sure we got the right guys, the right personalities, the right makeup mentally and physically between all of them, and to mesh them right. And I think they have done that, and they've shown that, and the ability to bounce and respond from different things, good and bad. Because right, if you keep hitting punts, great balls, you keep making field goals, you can't get complacent, right? And the same thing happens if you miss one. You can't all of a sudden say, well, I've got to change everything I've done. Trust your technique. It's all about your mental makeup in the specialist position, and I think that's the biggest key moving forward, is making sure their mental and physical preparation stays the same.
Do you make those judgments off personality or tape from what they've done in the past? I mean, how do you judge that?
All of it. You know, obviously this off season we went to, I think we did like 20-something pro days, saw guys, individual private workouts, obviously the combine, different kicking, Coles, Jamie Coles, Gary Zahner, all of them, and take all of it into your own account. There's a lot of things technique-wise, but then it's a lot about getting to know their personality too, and what makes it, and what little tweaks you might be able to adjust. Like with Tanner, just one little thing has helped him tremendously, and being able to stay consistent in his footwork and his plant and executing the kick to finish. So being able to say, hey, the guy has the talent, he has everything, he has the right mental makeup, can we make that one little tweak, and can he sustain it, and can he always go back to that? And so far he's been able to handle that, and that's what, you know, makes a pro, is being able to repeat, especially as a specialist.
Sticking with Tanner, you guys obviously had him and Christopher here in the spring.
Yep.
Went with Tanner. How did he kind of win that competition, or at least separate himself?
I mean, didn't miss a lot of kicks, I can tell you that. Hit the ball clean. Has a really strong leg, and like I said, mentally, that mental makeup and the mesh between the three of them is really good, and feel like we have a lot of confidence going in right now. And the biggest thing is there's still a long time before the season, right? So preseason games are going to tell a lot, practice is going to tell a lot, and then I honestly hope there is some adversity, whether it's in training camp practice or in the preseason. We have to have some adversity to be able to judge and see how they respond, and I think that's the biggest testament and the biggest hurdle for those guys to make sure they're ready for the NFL.
Chase, other than the eye test and film and all of that, how did you find that thing you needed to change, Tanner? I saw you guys had some equipment out there in OTAs that was sort of measuring things, but how do you find those very minute details like that? I mean, I understand.
There's the thing. We also had a guy that was with me in Carolina, Mike Cyphers, who was a longtime punter and helped us out and did an internship with us, and he's a very knowledgeable guy I talk to all the time. He's at UCLA now, and so always just making sure we have that feedback between me and Spring and coach, and understanding reading, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of great specialists and Pro Bowl caliber specialists over the last 7 years now, and that has a big part of my growth as a coach, especially in the specialist area.
With Tanner winning that job, kickers today, it seems every year their range gets longer and longer. Where is he at with that? And if you had to pick one or the other, his accuracy or his length, what do you like more and why?
Oh, accuracy, 100%. 100%. Like, put points on the board. We have a great offense, right? We have a great defense that we can trust if we pin them deep. If we can make them inside of 50 with a great accuracy, we'll be good. Obviously there's situations where a longer field goal is going to come up, and we're going to need it into half in the game, and that's going to be critical, but I'd take accuracy every time.
What is his length now that you would feel comfortable?
We'll let the other opponents figure that out as the season progresses.
Fair enough.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep.